The IMF is advising the U.S. to manage its fiscal deficit better. This advice comes at a crucial time when the global economy is facing numerous challenges. Think of the IMF as a global financial advisor. They analyze economic trends and provide recommendations to ensure financial stability. When they speak up about a country's budget, especially the U.S., people listen. Their insights are based on extensive research and data analysis. The fiscal deficit is when a government spends more than it earns. This can lead to increased borrowing and higher national debt. The U.S. has been running deficits due to economic downturns, stimulus spending, and tax policies. These factors have compounded over the years. The IMF's advice suggests the current deficit trajectory is worrisome. If not addressed, it could lead to long-term economic issues. This advice is timely, especially with potential political shifts. Policymakers need to consider these recommendations seriously. The IMF isn't dictating policy, but offering guidance for sustainable financial paths. Their goal is to help countries maintain economic health. It's like a doctor advising a patient to watch their diet and exercise more. By following this advice, the U.S. can aim for a more balanced and stable financial future. Let's discuss Trump's proposed tax cut plan, which has been a central piece of his economic strategy. This plan is a key factor in the IMF's concerns about long-term economic stability. Trump's approach typically involves significant tax reductions for corporations and higher-income individuals, aiming to boost economic activity. The idea is that these cuts stimulate business investment and job creation, theoretically leading to a trickle-down effect that benefits everyone. However, critics argue that past tax cuts haven't delivered sustained growth and have instead increased national deficits, putting future economic stability at risk. For instance, the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act of 2017 added significantly to the national debt without generating enough offsetting growth to justify the increased borrowing. The ongoing debate centers around whether the potential short-term economic stimulus justifies the long-term increase in government borrowing and debt. The IMF questions the sustainability of this approach, suggesting that it may lead to more economic problems down the line if not carefully managed. Large-scale tax cuts often lead to increasing national debt. If tax cuts aren't matched by spending cuts or massive economic growth, the deficit widens. The government borrows money to cover this shortfall, forming the national debt. The IMF worries about the U.S. debt scale and potential growth under new tax proposals. Excessive debt can lead to higher interest rates, making borrowing more expensive and slowing economic growth. The IMF's caution highlights the long-term risks of a growing national debt. The IMF's warning about the U.S. fiscal deficit lands in a dynamic political arena, where every decision is scrutinized and debated intensely. This warning comes at a crucial time, as the nation gears up for the 2025 elections. Economic policy, especially taxation and spending, is central in U.S. elections. Voters are keenly aware of how these policies will impact their daily lives, from healthcare to education, and even their retirement plans. Different parties offer vastly different visions for managing the economy and government debt. Some advocate for increased spending on social programs, while others push for austerity measures to reduce the deficit. The IMF's input adds an external perspective to this national conversation, reminding policymakers of the global ramifications of their decisions. This international viewpoint is crucial for a balanced approach. Proposals for tax cuts are framed as pro-growth, aimed at stimulating the economy by increasing consumer spending and business investment. However, opponents highlight potential debt impacts, warning that such measures could exacerbate the fiscal deficit. The global impact of U.S. fiscal policy is significant, affecting global markets and investor confidence. Decisions made in Washington ripple through stock exchanges and financial districts around the world. Domestic policy debates in the U.S. have international implications. Allies and adversaries alike watch closely, as changes in U.S. policy can alter trade agreements, military alliances, and diplomatic relations. The stability of the U.S. economy underpins much of the global economic system. A strong U.S. economy can drive global growth, while instability can lead to worldwide economic uncertainty. The IMF advises the U.S. to seriously address its fiscal deficit. This isn't partisan, but advice from a global financial watchdog. Consistently spending more than you earn without managing debt leads to trouble. The IMF's caution highlights the risk of increasing national debt with new tax cuts. Past tax cuts often fell short of paying for themselves, adding to these concerns. The sustainability of the U.S. fiscal path is crucial in a complex global environment. The IMF's advice prompts a national conversation about fiscal responsibility and economic future.